us know. You can share your questions with us on Facebook or Twitter. You can also email them to us at verify@wbir.com.
And we shared that Verify on our Facebook page, and you are responding. Almost 14,000 of you engaged with the post, and it's racked up more than 130 comments and questions. So we wanted to take your questions to an expert. So we have here to answer those for us, Luke Wood with Allevia Technology. And Luke, we really appreciate you coming on. What do you make of these rumors, and are you concerned?
Not so much, no. If you remember when I was younger, there were those books, the scary stories to tell in the dark. And then there was Candyman. And then there was chain emails that would come to your inbox and say, you forward this to 10 people or somebody you know is going to die. And this is like a modern version of that. Now, like you said in the piece there, if you trace this back far enough, there's no discernible evidence that any of the things that people are worried about have actually happened. There's no screenshots, there's no videos. It's just turned into a story that has been propagated throughout the internet by parents who are, maybe not as knowledgeable about the things that their kids get into and are worried about it.
Yeah, you talk about the parents. A lot of people say the videos can't be tracked because Momo just pops up spontaneously.
Yeah.
Explain how that works or how not.
Well, so there a while ago, I want to say, 10 or 15 years ago, there was this trend of like showing a normal video on perhaps YouTube or somewhere else on the internet, and then having a scary person just pop up in the video and go, and scare you. Yeah. And it's similar to that. I've actually seen with my own eyes. That I have seen. Just like the image pops up, and as someone who's been researching the image quite a bit today, let's just be real. It's not a pleasant thing to look at.
Okay. And so that Momo image has popped up.
Yeah, it has. Okay. Yes, I have seen that happen. It's the rest of it. I think we've got a couple things that are getting congealed into one big story here that are actually separate.
Okay.
So the image itself, yes, is popping up. It's the other part that's attached with now my kids are getting messages to hurt themselves or to self-harm, to commit suicide, et cetera, et cetera. That's the part that's not being verified.
But it leads us to a broader conversation, something we do want to talk about when it comes to parenting, how you approach YouTube and social media. What are some best practices, best approaches for parents to keep their kids safe?
Absolutely. One of the things, it's hard to find positives in a situation like this because you don't want this to happen, obviously. But it does give you an avenue to have conversations with your child about online safety and about internet and how the internet works and what you should talk about on the internet, who you shouldn't talk with, that kind of thing, what they're paying attention to. Have these conversations as a parent. It's very hard. I know sometimes it's awkward, sometimes it can be hard, but it's worth your time. If you're concerned about what your kids are consuming or what they're being exposed to, take that moment and sit down and have a hard conversation with them. Also, you can somewhat be worried about any website like YouTube where the content is user generated.
Sure.
So Netflix is curated, Hulu's curated, Amazon Prime Video is curated. Places like YouTube where it's just like I can pull my phone out right now, record us talking, and upload it in 5 seconds. That YouTube was going to try to catch a bunch, but you're talking about hundreds of millions of videos a day.
Sure.
So it's very difficult. So if you're really that concerned, maybe help your kids to avoid those user-generated content sites.
And be aware of what they're plugging into,
Absolutely.
what they're watching online.
Absolutely.
Well, Luke, we really appreciate you being with us.
For
and
sure.
as he mentioned, it's a pretty complex topic that we've been discussing. So he's going to continue the conversation on Facebook Live, on WBIR Facebook page with digital storyteller Madison Stacy. You can see her there. So Luke will let you head over to her way, and you can keep the questions coming. You can ask directly on our Facebook page, and Madison will ask those of Luke, and he'll explain and give us more information to an insight on YouTube and other things we need to be concerned about as parents in this technology-filled world. Luke, thanks so much. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Well, it is the magic of Tennessee theater coming out of your head. Up next, see how you can download that history.
All right. Yeah, we've got a couple of questions on here, Luke. We'll take it over here.
Sure thing. Got my hand cord here.
This is a nice shot.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Madison.
I'm not going to lie.
We'll take this microphone.
I'm suspicious of this chair
Oh, don't be suspicious.
for a man of stature, if you will.
Oh, trust me, I'm fine on it. You'll be all right.
And internet dollars to donuts. My mom's in this chat, so be nice.
Right. Well, we just really kind of just want to open up this conversation, talk about Momo.
Absolutely.
Is this a hoax?
Yes. I mean, yes. So it falls in the line of, I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, there was the Blue Whale Challenge.
Yeah.
Which was Russian, which was actually not a hoax. The guy behind it was arrested and charged. And this one's a little different. Like the piece said, there's no verifiable evidence of this, of what this thing purports to do actually happening. So what I mean by that is, there's no screenshots, there's no videos of the conversation in WhatsApp's where it started. You text this number and it comes back
and that was last year,
yes.
right? But now the concern is that
Yes.
it's popping up in
Facebook,
kids videos,
in Roblox, on YouTube Kids, in Fortnite. And the character, yes, is popping up. There are people in Roblox creating avatars and characters that look like Momo,
Yeah.
which is, quite frankly, pretty creepy visage.
Yeah.
I spent quite a bit of time with my head in the internet today researching this, and it got to the point where I was like, I don't want to see this anymore, but I need to read this article, to try to get us a little bit more education. So yeah, I mean, like the image itself is popping up. And so like that part of the concern is probably a little bit warranted, because I know I have a 6-year-old, and if it popped up and he saw it, it would terrify him to no end. I know, beyond a shadow of a doubt. I have a 14-year-old as well. Probably wouldn't affect him as much. So yes, your kids being exposed to things before you're ready for them to be exposed to it is a concern. The other piece of it, with the steps and the escalating series of challenges, if you will, that's the part that seems to be, at the very least, a thin kind of story that's kind of blown up because people are worried and they're sharing it all over social media, and then, like we're doing now, you pick it up and you talk about it, and it gains and it builds upon itself.
Yeah.
And in reality, the video itself, which last time I checked was over 2 million hits, is just there for one thing, and that's to get clicks and views.
And
we're
I know,
serving that.
right? And just in speaking with parents, YouTube hasn't been able to verify an actual, like, you want to go on and watch Peppa the Pig.
Yes.
And then this Momo comes up.
Yes.
It's more the kid on the school bus has a link to
Yes.
this maybe
Yeah.
edited thing that came out of the confusion.
Right, and you can almost look. Some of these things you can almost watch and go, "That's been manipulated." Like I can see. I mean, like I'm not even an expert in that kind of stuff, but I can look at that and see that that's been manipulated. The more concerning stuff is, and I feel like a story has gotten buried this week because of the Momo challenge that actually was true of the YouTube Kids story from 2 or 3 days ago about there being a video on there that looked harmless enough at first, and then there was literally a voiceover of a man giving you instructions on how to commit suicide.
Right.
And this was verified. This is accurate. It did happen. It was taken down. And I feel like that has kind of been glossed over in favor of something more sensational.
Right.
And so like there actually is some things out there to be worried about and to concern yourself with what your children are consuming, what they're exposed to.
So how do parents navigate this space?
It's hard. I've got kids on a whole spectrum. I've got a 20-year-old, I've got a 14-year-old, and a 6-year-old. And I mean, just taking for instance what the world was like when my 20-year-old was young, it's a completely different universe of things. And even my 14-year-old has different things now. So I say this every time I'm on here, and I feel like I'm at this point I'm a broken record, but like you need to involve yourself. I think a lot of us, and I am 100% guilty of this, a lot of us get carried away with using the internet as a pacifier. And just oh my gosh, you're driving me crazy today. I just need to get something done. Here's a screen. Leave me alone. And I have 100% done that. But be careful. Be careful if what you're handing to your children. Do research. If something like this Momo challenge freaks you out, this is the advice that I've been given all week this week is take a deep breath. Open another tab up, go to google.com and search for it and see if it's legitimate or not. Because, you search Momo challenge right now on Google, and literally the first 30 things that come up are hoax, 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 hoax. and here's why, and it can ease you a little bit, calm that
Right,
heart rate
right.
down just a bit,
Yeah, separate what's real from
yeah,
what's-
ease them keyboard fingers up a little bit,
Right.
back up, just take a step back.
And again, we're gonna just open it up if we have any, keep your questions.
A lot of the
coming.
questions were answered as you were talking there.
Oh,
so
okay.
the big one is the confusion between the fact that we're not talking about the picture of Momo.
Right.
Right.
That is popping up in those kids' videos.
Right,
It can
right.
be easy to insert it in as a flash frame or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that, rightfully is going to scare some kids out there.
Yeah.
But it's about the other aspect of it, the challenge.
The challenge
of it.
aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even like I know one of the stories that kicked it off was the story of a 12-year-old, and I believe it was Argentina, who did commit suicide, and originally was credited to this challenge. And then when they dug in a little deeper, it turns out that she was being influenced by an 18-year-old that she was friends with on the internet, and so there was actually no discernible link between the two. And so it's kind of one of those things where it's like it's being credited as this, and as it blows up, these kind of things are being thrown at it and being blamed. But in reality, once you dig a little deeper, there's no ties there. So which is, it's bad that we have to sit here and talk about this stuff, but if we are going to talk about it, one positive thing is that it does seem to be a hoax. But as it gets bigger, as it builds upon itself, and as it continues to grow, it makes people out there who maybe don't have people's best interests in mind say, oh, this is a way that I can get attention. I can do that. I can copycat this, and people will jump all over it and share it everywhere without taking even a second to verify it, and then something bad happens.
Yeah. And can you talk a little bit about too? We tend to see these viral hoaxes come up, and they are genuinely very. Even just the picture, aside from if it popped up on your feed, just seeing it in news stories is very frightening.
Yeah.
How do these hoaxes gain momentum? And you touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
But what are the steps that you can take?
Yeah. So the first step you can take is, like I said a second ago, is I kid you not. People are going to say, oh, he's an IT guy. Of course he's saying Google it, but Google it. If you want to know, Google it and find out and see if it's real, see if it's not. You're going to have information on there that tells you, hey, this is verifiable. That there is evidence here, and here it is, and you can see it for yourself. And that should be enough right there to say, okay, let me pump the brakes here and calm down a bit before I go crazy. Because a lot of it is, like I said, it's you share it with one person. And then they share it with two people, and then they share it with two people, and then that just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. To where you have right now, where you just type the letter M into Google, and it's going to autofill Momo challenge.
Right.
It's gotten
We've
that
both
big.
discovered today.
Yes,
Right.
yes. And so, like as a parent, or as anyone, it's just you want your kids to be responsible online, and you're going to preach that to your children. Be responsible. Be responsible. You need to be responsible too. And don't share unverified information. Don't share things that are going to scare people if you don't know that it's accurate, because then it creates a fever pitch of people really wigging out and it not being anything they needed to stress about. There's enough real stuff to stress about without adding in a wax Japanese sculpture to the mix.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think with that, we'll
Yeah.
thank you so much
Absolutely,
for having
absolutely.
us, and good information to
Oh,
share.
thanks.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.